welcome back to Studioloo. So it's been a little while. I've had a bit of a crazy week. That's about to become a trend, so I don't know what to expect for videos. I'm going to do my very best. I thought we would do something a little bit different today. Something a little fiber textile art-ish that's actually not for a journal. It's actually for making embellishment for yarn, things that I spin directly into my hand-spun art yarns. But I want to recommend this as something fun to do even for journals if you want to make what we're making a little bit smaller. So if you have access to threads and wool and yarn and other things to tangle into that wool, you definitely will need wool for this. Different kinds of wool, locks, and regular wool. So this idea I need to accredit to my great friend Karen Barnaby. It's from probably a decade ago, and it was our freeform felt bead challenge that happened in the Ravelry Art Yarn Spinners group literally a decade ago. So we used to have this really beautiful, colorful, fun community before the days of the overwhelming social media conglomerates we deal with nowadays. On Ravelry.com, we used to have we still have an art yarn group there, but unfortunately, I guess everybody just uses 3 websites on the whole internet these days. And those are all major social media moguls. Still hoping that changes someday. But anyhow, we used to run all sorts of really fun, weekly-ish kind of challenges. So this idea came from my friend Karen Barnaby. She is actually an incredible, renowned chef from British Columbia, Canada. And so this is her idea. These are freeform felt beads. As you can see, I've got a great big jar of them. I have them in my repertoire in my studio all the time because I'm always spinning yarns, and I've used them many times. So I've repeated this challenge many times. So as you can see, each one is totally weird and different and fun and colorful. They're made of all different kinds of wool, silk, things like Easter grass that you can get, during different holiday seasons, like Easter, obviously, for the Easter grass. Just anything that, would go into wool while it's felting and would get trapped. So let me just give you the pointers quickly on how to do this. So here's what some wool looks like. This is actually raw dyed wool, sheep's wool. This is a bit of Teeswater and Border Leicester sheep breed fibers, and it's the natural lock. So it's been cut, it's been sheared from the sheep. It's been washed and scoured and cleaned and then hand dyed by me. So I hand dyed these particular wools in in a crock pot, basically, with acid dyes. So you get brilliant, beautiful colors. So that's how you get this kind of wool. If you're not familiar with different kinds of wool, the kinds of wool that you're looking for, it's 100% wool because that's what you need to felt, and it can't be superwash. It must be natural, untreated. It can't go through the chemical superwashing process where it doesn't wet felt. So different kinds of wool to look for that felt really good are merino, Corriedale, Wensleydale, really any kind of sheep. Mohair is good. You can felt silk. What else? Just really any kind of wool. I would say you can if you're new to wool, you can actually find little felting tester packs in a lot of craft stores like Michael's, if you only have access to big box stores. But probably if you just kind of Google search wool near me or something, you'll be able to find either wool festivals or yarn stores. Your local yarn store probably has some kind of wool. So you're looking for terms like roving. These are long strips. I should have an example here for you, but I don't have one close by. So it's a long strip of fiber. Locks is what these called, or fleece. So yeah, anyhow, let's get into this. So what you basically do is you get a selection of different kinds of fiber and different colors of fiber. You can get, one solid large braid of roving, or a large bit of wool of any kind. find, be it a fleece or whatever, and you can dye it all different colors, and just pull it apart in sections and just dye it with acid dyes, different colors. Then you're going to take those different textures and you're going to get a pillowcase, and you just kind of throw little handfuls of all these different things in your pillowcase, and then, you know, jumble them up a bit. Then take a strong elastic and loop it around the closure of your pillowcase. So you're creating like a bag that is tightly sealed with a tight elastic. Then you can put it in your washing machine in hot water, you know, on a regular cycle to agitate, and then you can open it halfway through, see how felty it's getting, you know, see what the progress is. You'll probably see you will have like some looser bits like this. This is something, it didn't really attach itself to anybody else in the bag. But then you'll have things like this, like these have, if you can see close up, sari silk waste, which is another thing that you can use. So there's wool in here, there's some Easter grass, that iridescent, there's banana silk, there's sari silk, but you'll see there that it gets really nicely felted together. These are some curly locks like the ones that I showed you. So that is how you make this jumble of beautiful things. Then, you know, just get yourself a jar and pack them in there. So what to do with these kind of things? So you know how so often with journaling we have these little beads that we make, like spine jewelry or things to hang out of a journal, or even, you know, you could stitch this on the side of a page as like a tab if you wanted. It's actually not that wide. It's pretty flat. So you know, you will get all different shapes and sizes. You can tear them apart, you can cut them apart. Just keep in mind when you cut, you're making like a hard line. With wool, it's kind of harsh to do that to the fiber. The end of those fibers aren't going to want to really felt softly again and get rounded. They'll sort of stay blunt. But you know, you're going to get all sorts of interesting different things. So what I want to do with these ones though is actually make some flower embellishments for a yarn that I am going to be spinning this week. So I'll get my big candy jar out of the way here, because I've actually pre-selected what I want to use in my yarn. So I have these because they're the kind of colors that I want in my yarn. So there should be, I think, 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. So what I'm going to do is just one by one, I'm going to create like a flower, a wool flower. So I have some wool that's kind of felty. This is a fleece that's just been hanging around my studio for some time. So it's gotten a little felty because it's probably just been handled a lot and, you know, thrown around a little bit. So what I do is I just take a long strip of this lock fiber, and I just kind of wind it around my hand, kind of like in a pretty loosey-goosey kind of motion. I'm going to lie that down here, and then I'm going to put my felt bead on top. So then I just have some scrap embroidery floss that's been hanging around here, and I'm going to just cut a length of it off. And then I'm going to thread a needle. This is a relatively large darning needle with a large eye, so it makes my life easier to thread. You do need a needle that's like large enough to kind of stab through felted wool. So I'll just make a knot here. Then this is the easy kind of part. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do was try to incorporate, I have some of this leftover scrap fiber from, or woven fabric rather, from my daughter's dress that I made her for our little Shop of Horrors theater show that we went to last week. And I thought I would make some simple little leaf shapes with it. And I would stick that somewhere in the flower so that it peeks out. Now you'll put the whole thing, kind of sandwich it together how you like so. Then you're going to just stab right through the back, go all the way through. Your knot will stop you at the back, and then just go through again. And then on the back, you'll see there are your strings. You're just going to kind of simple, like almost like a seed stitch, right? Just you're securing it all together. Go around the whole back side like in a circle so that you are securing the entire diameter of the floral, the little floral sculpture that you're making. And don't worry too much about where your stitches are because they're going to get buried in the wool. You just got to give it a nice little tug, a little tight pull. And then the other fun thing is if you are a stitcher, this is the opportunity that you can actually choose if you want to do some decorative stitching with your embroidery floss. So I'm just going to stab through here onto the fabric, and then I just want to do like a little bit of a running stitch just for some fun detail so that you'll see my stitches there. See, easy peasy, go back through. And then just kind of do the same thing again on the back so that you get back into the wool. And then just give it a little tug. And the nice thing about this woven fabric is I'm going to get a little bit of a fray. So then what you could also do, right, is bullion type stitches if you wanted to build some more texture on the top of the flower with some bullions here. So I'll just do one. I won't instruct you on how to do a bullion stitch because I'm definitely not an expert, but there we go. We have a bullion stitch. And then the nice thing about wool is it's really forgiving. You can really sculpt with it, and you know, so is stitching really, right? So what we have here now is this beautiful little flower. Other things you can do, you can add beads, sequins, whatever else you would like. You know, literally, it's so easy. Like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but something that I learned from Anne Brooke was about having an ort, which is like a little jar to keep all of your leftover threads in, like this, from like your sewing machine or your hand stitching. So, you know, I can take a little bit of thread here that I've just taken out of my scraps. This is my ort. It's full of old embroidery flosses and all sorts of things. And oops, I unthreaded my needle here. Two. Go in there. There we go. Okay, so then you just basically, you stitch it on. You stab through it a few times. And then you're just going to add another little bit of texture there. So these would also be really nice on the front of a journal cover. Like, imagine if you had, you know, here, I'll get an example. So imagine that you were taking this journal card and you wanted to put it on the front of a journal and you really wanted to kind of jazz it up with something. Here you go. You can hand stitch this on. You could fabric tack it on, put the whole thing on the front of a journal. Do we have a book handy? You know, so imagine this book. We replace this image, stitch that on there, glue it all down. That would be beautiful. So yeah, these are really nice embellishments to be able to make. I know that for journalers, it does take you outside of your supply zone a little bit, maybe, because, you know, maybe you don't keep woolen type things around. But yeah, it's something to think about. I think incorporating textile and fiber art into journaling has been something that I've found very natural and fun. It just kind of really goes together. So there we go. We have this cute little flower. Then I'll tell you, just in case you're interested, if you are a yarn spinner, the way that I spin these into my yarns is basically in the back, I'm going to get a needle like this. I'm going to thread, you know, a piece of fiber like this through my needle, and then I'm going to stab it through the back, thread it through so that I'll have this going through the back of my flower. And then when I'm spinning, I'm going to spin this right in. So this becomes like the yarn rope that goes right through this. So that one turned out lovely. So I'm just going to continue along the way. I've been trying to organize what I need to be working on because I was just accepted into what I think will be really fun, my first time doing this market in a nearby town called Guelph, nearby city, I should say. It's called the Krampus Market. So I think it's going to be really fun because it's different than any other Christmas market. It's like unusual things, like, you know, they like artisanal kind of work that's a little different. So I think there will be some, you know, unique kind of Christmas presents there, people who do unique work. I know there's like, one of my favorite people is this lovely antique dealer. I know he's just this really wise man who, he's very charitable to the community, and he's really cool. He had an antique store for many years, but unfortunately COVID forced the closure of it after I think like 30 years. And my heart is still so broken because he is a wonderful human being, and I absolutely love nothing more on a weekend than taking a nice day trip, going antiquing, having a little picnic somewhere, and he is a big part of like my weekend routine. So it's no fun that he's had to close, but I really hope for the day that, you know, that kind of thing will be easier to navigate, but it just isn't right now. So we just have to be patient. But he's going to be there, and I'm pretty excited about that. So it will be nice to hang out with him. From a vendor perspective, to just get to spend some kind of time with somebody. So I'm thinking about what kinds of things that I want to make, like for the around $10 to $15 kind of mark. I'm thinking of some fun, smaller Krampus themed journals. I've actually got some really cool vintage Krampus images that I can use. So I have some fun ideas there just to make like slightly different kind of stuff. So and the event is called the Krampus Market, as I mentioned. I'll post about it on my Instagram. It's being held by the Smoky Armadillo Collective, which is an art collective in Guelph, Ontario. And so yeah, I'm excited to be doing something fun. And it will be vaccine passport and masking, thankfully. So I feel comfortable doing that. And I'm just going to go by myself. I'm not going to bring anybody with me. I think it'll just be small. It's like a single table, which for me is really small. Historically, doing shows, I always have like a very large booth, but this is more like a little, it's at like a bar, so it'll just be a smaller kind of show. I kind of want to just take part for like the this sort of like social activity aspect of it a little bit. Like it's a little bit of something. So okay, and then I'm going to use this green fiber. It's really pretty. I think I'll put this on here and just kind of layer them up. This will have a lot of locks in it. Oops, that's a little silk nip. I'm not going to put a leaf in this one because we already have the green from the locks. Okay, then I don't know if I should put maybe a little bundle of green threads or something. That could be fun. Maybe I'll just try like rolling them between my hands to make like a kind of a cordage, and then wind them around my finger a bit here. Get this little bundle, pop it here, and then just stitch through. There we go. Got a little bit of fiber falling off there. And then at the back, you just make a loop, tie a knot, do that a couple of times, but I unthreaded my needle again. I'm so bad at that, I always do. So I'll just do this. There we go. Okay. There we go. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? You want to go. There we go. That's better. So we have three finished. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. 5 to go. So what else interesting do I have to talk about? Not really a whole lot. I have had kind of a, I don't want to say a boring week, but just a personal life week. Not a lot of fun stuff, although there has been some fun highlights. I this morning spent some time with my daughter in our homeschool session. So really fun activity is we're learning right now about Peru, Kathmandu street art, and Nepalese Dhaka patterns, so like the beautiful patterned clothing of the people of Nepal. So I did this really fun collage activity with her. We got started on step 1, which is to take a piece of cardboard and paint it while being inspired by the Dhaka patterns. So we watched some really fun videos, some of which are music videos of just people in Nepal, just kind of doing their thing, making these incredible like sari type garments. And we watched some really fun like making videos, like weaving and dyeing and that kind of thing. So then you take a piece of cardboard and you paint it like kind of, in accordance with or inspired by the Dhaka patterns that they use. So it was really, really interesting to see her get inspired by it. And she actually, where little kids often kind of paint with a lot of imagination or whatever, I saw her actually, taking the pattern into consideration and the way that things, look in these Dhaka garments. So it was really cool. So she's finished the painting aspect, and then the second part is about texture. So once it dries, you cover it all in glue, and then you're going to stick different things to it. So I've given her some wool locks and like a bunch of different things like sequins and one little thing they recommend, I have to make it still, is rainbow rice. So you take like rice and you dye it with food coloring, all different colors, and like you can glue the rainbow rice down to it. And then what else? Like just different textures like fabric and like ribbon and just different things like that, right? And then maybe some metallic paints. So yeah, step 2 will happen probably later today or tomorrow, depending on how our days go. I have to do some errands today. I have to go to the thrift store and donate some clothes because I did the big closet clean out for my kids. I've been like making a lot of fun dresses, as well as like collecting vintage clothes and stuff for my kids pretty much since before they were born, honestly. And so I've just gone through all of it and decided what I want to donate and what I want to hang on to for memories and what I want to resell. So I've had this idea in mind for a long time. In fact, I got started like in the planning session of it like years ago, but it's just been, my life is just too busy. So I'm trying to get caught up on what I've been wanting to do, which is to launch another little business. I think just like an Etsy shop. I know a lot of people do this on Instagram, but like selling children's vintage clothes and stuff. Cause like I have purchased a lot of things that weren't even worn by my children, like because they were, too big for them, what have you, when I came across them. But like, I really love that idea of like, kind of curating really fun stuff for kids. And like, I've had people ask me so many times, like, oh my gosh, where do you get her clothes? And, honestly, I'm a collector and I just, I can show you something. I'll be quiet for a minute. Remember how I said when you cut wool, See, it gets a blunt edge, and that's not going to felt, and it will start to fall apart. It will lose its, it will lose its like kind of magnetism to each other. So that's what happens. And that's what I want to happen here, because I'm just looking to kind of trim this down into a more organic shape so it's not so round. And then I'll just pull away anything that doesn't seem like it wants to stay attached. Anyway, so yeah, so that's coming. It's going to be under my Toad's Beard brand that I started years ago. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I won't get into it heavily on this channel. I will mention it. I'll probably link it below in the description box, just for those of you who might want to know a little bit more about me, or you're just interested in, children's vintage clothes and toys and handmade clothes and toys. So that's another thing that I am planning to do. So I've organized all of the boxes of these beautiful garments and just really fun, cool stuff. And then I just have to go on like a photography expedition. Because that's the fun thing about selling online, is like, you have to take a lot of pictures. But I mean, it's like the effort can kind of be the same with just, if you're doing in-person stuff. Like, I would love to have a brick and mortar store, but unfortunately it's just not in the cards right now. I don't have the ability to staff it, as I have a full-time job, and I just don't have the bandwidth or the money for that right now as a secondary thing. But big plans in the works for future stuff. So everything I do, I chalk up to experience, and yeah, hopefully it's fun and goes well, and I think it will. I think that there is definitely an appetite for that kind of thing, that a lot of people like to buy, interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind things for their kids. I know I do. I feel like I live like kind of vicariously through my kids' wardrobes. Although I need to get better at like making things for myself too sometimes, because I tend to not really do a lot of that. There we go. Then I need to rethread. Okay. But yeah, also I've just had a very busy week at work. And that's been true for many weeks, but this week's been a little busy, and it's going to get a little bit busier, I think. I don't know. Holiday season is coming, right? And theoretically, you think things would slow down. That never happens. Like, it used to, but now it seems in my industry, things just get like nuttier. Like, people are just like, well, I might as well do a huge project. It's, holiday season. Like, I don't know what it is, but I am not seeing any kind of slowdown of things. But yeah. Which, I mean, I can't complain because I am employed and I'm thankful for that. But it does really eat a lot of your time. I feel like everybody right now is just really struggling, like, because there's just a lot of things that we're kind of being forced to do when we don't feel ready. And like, I feel like the empathy that governments had, or that, employers had for people, like, it's going away. So like, regardless of like your comorbidity to this whole situation, a lot of people are being forced to go back into offices, even though truly, and I say this like because I'm in a high level position and I have had many staff in my career, it's just not necessary. I love the idea of a world of people who don't need to be like micromanagers. They're comfortable with their staff working at home, who've already proven themselves during this time, might I add. They've been incredible superstars. And like, imagine how we could cut our footprint environmentally in traffic, as well as our own health, if we didn't have to like abide by these totally old, pointless rules of like, needing to be physically together when really we don't need to be, and like, it's way less risky to be. I know there's like a lot of people who have like mental health aspects about loneliness, and I definitely take that all into extreme consideration. Like I get it, but I don't necessarily think the workplace really makes that better. I don't think the workplace is that place where you're going to get mental health benefits from, you know, togetherness. I could be wrong though. Maybe some people that is how they, you know, get those benefits, but for me, it's more about like family or friends, those kinds of interactions, or even honestly, like just the people in your household, but like being able to go to, like the Little Shop of Horrors show that I took my daughter to. It felt super safe. It was like, you know, all of the requirements I have as a person navigating this world for my own health and safety, those were met at the event that I chose to go to, so I feel really good about it. And those are the places that I think I get my serotonin. So art galleries and all that kind of stuff, but even simple things like just being able to go to the library, you know. So we'll see how it goes. Whoops. I think I need to get another piece of thread for this one, because this is a little short. There we go. So I'll tie that off and I will rethread. And my son has been doing some playgroup kind of stuff in small kind of controlled groups. It's one of those things. I don't know, like it goes back to the point I was just trying to make about like, regardless of our comorbidity, we're all being forced into different risks. And for me, like my son is, you know, what they call a COVID baby. So he was born a few months before everything started with the pandemic, before the closure, you know, and the lockdowns. So he has not had a whole lot of social engagement. And I know, you know, talking with my doctor, she told me that most of the children that she sees between the ages of 18 months and 3 years old are like, their speech delayed, and some of them are social delayed. And so it's causing a lot of issues around that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to like navigate that a little bit, like how to keep everybody safe physically, but also, you know, not find myself like depriving my kids too much of something. But I've got some ideas. I'm trying to be creative here about how I can kind of create my own utopia for kids. Like, because what I find right now is a lot of the services that are like government organized kind of early childhood services, they are either not operating at all, or they're really overcapacitated because they haven't been operating, and people are in the same situation as me where they just, you know, they're trying to do something, and we're all trying to do something. So you can't book anything. You can't get them into anything because of the limited capacity, which I agree with. But I think if you can, like what I might try to do is create my own group on some social media with the directive around like, you know, if we have the same safety ideals in mind, like, you know, I believe in vaccination, so I would want that to be a caveat of attending, you know, and everybody has their own, I know everybody has their own opinions, but that one is mine. That I would want the parents to be vaccinated, and I would want masks to be worn. Because where I live, we still have numbers in our province every day. They were around, hovering for the longest time over 300 a day, to now they're between 300 and 600 a day. And I think people feel like, oh, the numbers are so like they're low, whatever. But I mean, if you really think about it, that's not low. Like if 300 new people are testing positive every day, remember yesterday, 300 people, and the day before, and the day before. And like, you know, you're usually sick for at least 2 weeks with this before you get like a negative result, I think. I don't know. I have never been infected by COVID, thankfully. Trying to keep it that way. So yeah, it's actually quite a few infected people, you know. But I don't know. I just hope one day we're not talking about this all the time. And I'm sorry to those of you who are, you know, just not wanting to hear about it, but it's a part of my everyday life, and this is just a thing that still gets talked about in my world every day. Oh, it looks kind of like an orchid. That's fun. Okay, how many to go? One more. So I hope this is something that, you know, you can use and that you enjoy. I know it's a little bit different than my usual journaling type content, but I'm working right now on a custom order for a really fun book that's also really challenging. Like I'm pushing myself mentally here a little bit, and I actually am pretty happy about that. This one's quite a mishmash, isn't it? Let's see. It's got some yarn, other things going on. Let's see if we can make this look good. So yeah, it's definitely pushing me mentally, my capacity, and I've had to do a lot of math and a lot of calculation and a lot of measuring, and I'm like really constructing something crazy. So I will share it with you once it has been officially approved by its owner and is on its way to her. But yeah, I tend not to really share my custom orders while I'm making them, because I'm gonna just keep that to myself for a little bit, at least right now. Okay, just trying to get this well adhered. All right, that's good. Now, and we'll put a little leaf in there right here. I feel like these little leaves just kind of make the floral concept happen more, a little more. There we go. Let's do a little stitching on the back just to adhere that on well. And I'm also so sad and behind. I wanted to take part in Release the Craftin's November Poetry Challenge. Like, she has a wonderful list of poetry prompts. Check her out on both Instagram and her YouTube channel. I know Lori is doing it. Lori Uba from Terrific Tomes is doing it. And yeah, I'm so sad. I really wanted to do it, but like a couple things happened and I just couldn't commit, and so sad. But you know what? Next time I will do it. I will do the thing. But what I'm seeing from Priscilla at Release the Craftin, as well as Lori, has been a lot of fun to watch. Beautiful art they're making and just really fun poetry. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 9 somehow. I thought I started with 8, but that's okay. We have 9. So that is how you make these fiber flora, is what I call them. I've always called them fiber flora because that's what they are. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and listening to my blurbs. I will be back hopefully quite soon. I actually had a paper project set aside for this next video, and then I don't know what came over me. I walked past my fiber basket, saw that I have a yarn that I need to spin and prepare, and was like, why don't I do something a little bit different? So that's what I did. But next project, I really do have it right here. I want to use these up, and I have some plans for that. So that will be the next video. I think I might do something else. I don't know, but that will be coming. So thank you again for hanging out. Also, thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed. You pushed me over the 300 subscribers level. So, you know, we're getting closer and closer and chugging along to eventually one day get to that 1,000 subscriber, you know, mark. I can't wait to get there, because then we can have a community tab and we can share things, and like I'd really love that. So that being said, thank you, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please come join us. We have fun here. So you can find all my social media information down below in the description box, and until next time, I hope you have a really fun, happy week. So take care, everyone. Bye for now.